World Cup time, he's the busiest man in the world. Terry Butcher, how are you?
I'm fine, Rob. How are you?
Very, very good, thank you. Not as busy as you. We were just chatting off mic there that when World Cups come around, everybody, the phone's red hot, is it?
Well, it has been this year. I don't know what's special about it, but it's been quite remarkable, really. I never expected to get as much work as I have done. Plus the fact the referee was selling the ball for the Maradona goal and from Mexico '86. So we did a bit of we had a bit of publicity for that. So yeah, it's very nice, very flattering, very humble. We didn't even win the flipping thing. So I mean, it's amazing how much press you get to do.
Should you have won it in your time, do you think?
Yeah, I thought '86 and especially '90, we had the squads to do it. We had some very, very good senior players in both squads. Maradona's goal, the handball in particular was a horrible way to go out in the quarter final because I know Germany were in the final, but they weren't particularly that great that year, and it was only sort of Belgium again in the semi-final for them to go through. So yeah, we felt that we could do it, and consequently, when Italian United came along, we'd watched the previous night when Italy went out to Germany on penalties. Not Germany, sorry. When Italy went out to Argentina on penalties, and a lot of Argentinian players, they were injured or either suspended. So whoever won our game was going to win the World Cup. We felt so. Yeah, it was a really big match, and it's irritating and depressing that you look back on that and you say, well, we were a hair's breadth away from getting to the final and went out on penalties, having played the best football of the tournament.
What is it? What's the difference? Is it that stroke of luck? Is it Maradona's handball? What is it? What separates that fine line, or is that just football?
I think that's just sport right at the top level. I think there's, everybody calls it fine margins, and it is a case of, well, what will be, will be. You have to take it, but as long as you give it your best shot. And that's what's irritating about '86 in particular, when we didn't really start to play the way we could play until the last half an hour of the match. And if you're going to do that, then concede 2 goals the way we did, then you're not going to get through. So yes, it is irritating, and you just hope that the luck goes with you. We didn't play particularly well in the build-up to that semi-final in 1990, where we sort of scraped through, but we had a little bit of luck then. So perhaps we used that luck up en route to that semi-final. But at least we had a real good go in 1990, and at least we did the public proud, and we saw that when we got back to Luton, when we were just overwhelmed with the support that came out to see us.
What's it like being? I know it sounds a ridiculous question, but what's it like being involved in a tournament? I mean, there's billions of people who will never do it. You've done it 3 times in a World Cup. Enjoyable?
Yeah, it's a really, really good experience. I mean, we went from '82, obviously '86. You're out in Mexico, and there's no internet in those days, no Game Boys and all these kind of things as well. All we had was like Scrabble and Monopoly and Peter Beardsley. You just asked Peter a question, and he was like a walking dictionary. So what time to lunch and what time do we kick off and what's happening now, and Peter and all this sort of thing. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. So yeah, we had our own little internet and Peter Beardsley, but you didn't have kind of things. But you're in a bubble. You're in a real. I know bubbles are very fashionable. Were fashionable during COVID, but you literally were in your own bubble where you took over a hotel, you camped there, you had a routine that was quite boring in many aspects, but it had to be done because you couldn't do stupid things. Although we did try, you've got to be very sensible. But I think now with you can look at games on your iPad if you want to. As a player, you've got all the technology, the analysts, and all the breakdown of your physical well-being and all these kind of things. So you wouldn't get bored. You wouldn't get short of activity and data to look at. So but then you can get too much data, I think, sometimes. And I think at the end of the day, what we had was pretty basic, but we just got on with it, and we just made sure that we tried to be at our very best.
Could you have a drink?
Yeah, we did have a drink. Yeah, we had many drinks. It was quite good. And when you became captain of the team, as I did in 1990, it was your responsibility to get the drinks trolley organised after the games when we go back to the hotel. So we brought, after the Belgium game, we had one sort of drinks trolley where it was like you get on the airplanes, and it was like filled with with booze and lots of beer. And then we ran out. Everybody came to our room, and everybody ran out. So we had to go and get another one. So, but we did the country proud in that respect. But it helped us because when you win a game, there's nothing like being together as a team and really enjoying the match, enjoying the experience, looking forward to the next one. Everybody really then, comes together really, really strongly. I don't know, a drink is possibly not the solution for the players of today, but getting together and having fun and doing things, is I think the only way that you're going to get a really good team spirit, other than a winning dressing room. A winning dressing room cures all evils. It really does.
Brian Robson said the same thing, exactly the same thing. It wasn't just having a drink, but he said it was just vital, he felt, to relax as much as anything else.
Well, I found when I played any game, a night game in particular, an important night game, it was very difficult and hard to switch your brain off. You're looking at things you should have done, could have done, look at things that happened, look at things that you did well. I would normally look at what I did badly because I did more bad things than good things, but you would tend to replay the game in your head and just make sure that you don't do those things again. If they're bad things, if they're good things, you want to replicate those. But yeah, and so a drink would be great to have because it would break down the resistance and make you more mellow. And it's a depressant, right enough. So, and then in the end, you got some sleep. It was always fitful sleep. You dreamt of the match and all these kind of things, but you had a much better sleep. I always felt you had a much better sleep when you had a drink. And I did try it without a drink, but I stayed awake all night, and I thought, I'm not having this. So we used to have a few beers. Even with international football, we had a few beers.
Staying on the Brian Robson, he got all the glory for that goal against France, but it was your flick on, wasn't it? I mean, it was a bizarre scenario because we'd had a chat, I think it was about 9 o'clock in the morning. I interviewed it at 11. I looked on YouTube, and of course, there's your flick on.
Yeah, it was. We'd worked on throw-ins from the left-hand side with Kenny Sanson. Kenny had a really good long throw. And we'd worked on that, and they came off, or they didn't come off. So we knew what to do, what the line-up setup was. So, but then we kicked off, and we got a throw in, sort of level with a penalty spot on the right-hand side, and Stevie Coppell was the one that was going to take a long throw. And with all due respect to Stevie, he couldn't throw a frisbee that far, but he did. He launched one into the box, and we thought, well, let's try it and see if it happens. And I managed to get a flick on, and Brian hooked the ball into the net and then ran away over the far side of the pitch. And I thought, well, thanks, Brian. I've landed you a golden watch on a plate, because that's what he won when he got the quickest goal. And I didn't even get a link out of it. I got nothing from it. So I'm thinking, that's a bit harsh, but you don't mind as long as we score.
Yeah. But that sums up football. That's defenders. Okay, he's a midfielder, but strikers and defenders. That's the whole story in a nutshell, isn't it?
Well, it is, yes. I don't know what it's like to score many goals, so I tend to, if someone did put it on a plate for me, then I would run over to them and make sure that I thank them very much. It was the same with Peter Beardsley in the World Cup in '86 in the Azteca Stadium against Paraguay. There's a corner from us on the right. I managed to get. The ball came into the box, and I managed to control it, which was unlike me. And then I sort of killed it, smashed it with my right foot. Keeper makes a good save, and Peter Beardsley's there to put the rebound in. So, and then Peter ran away on the other side. I don't know, I must have BO or something, and they didn't want to come to me. But you're just happy you get assists, and I think that's the biggest thing about football today: the stats, the data, and everything else like that. It's not only the goals that you score, especially for forwards, but it's the assists that you get as well. So. Obviously, and I've assisted Brian Robson with a few goals and quite a few other players as well. I could go through quite a few times when I've assisted, and the striker has ran away. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I might have to. I'll cross them off my Christmas card list. I think those who didn't celebrate with me. Yeah, that's not nice.
Obviously, you're involved in the Maradona goal, the Maradona goal. How good was he? And how does he rate against other international opponents? Who's your toughest one?
Yeah, he's the toughest opponent I ever played against. I've played against some real bruisers in my time, but that was an easy contest. But against Maradona, that was very difficult. He was very quick, very aloof, very aware of tackles, knew the space, good vision, just wanted the ball, just very confident. There's so many things you can go through to say how good he is. or was. But on the day, we felt that we could kick him or block him or double up on him. But it's all right saying that before the game, but when you're on the pitch with him, it's a different matter. I always say that I didn't know what he looked like for 3 or 4 years because all I saw was the back of his head. Just chasing him around the pitch, he was just immense. So I saw a piece the other day from Gary Lineker when he said he wanted to applaud Maradona for the second goal. Well, if Gary ever says that in my presence, I think I'll hook him because it wasn't nice for me because he didn't beat me once, he beat me twice. I'm the only Englishman he beat twice on that goal. So, yeah, thanks, Gary. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement from your top striker to clap a goal against you. So it was disappointing in many, many ways, but I hate goals like that. And it always seems to be that opponents, when it comes to the major competitions, always seem to score great goals against us, and that sort of made it worse. And especially coming only a few minutes after the handball goal, we were really staring oblivion in the face, and it was only then that we really rallied. So yeah, lots of bitter memories, and it still rankles with me. I've been having 40 years of therapy, and I might have to have a few more now after this year.
I know it sounds a bit glib, but couldn't you just boot him?
Well, I could have done and should have done. It was, it's all right. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, and it's all right after the event. But when you're there with him, it's, you're trying to do the right thing and play the right way, as we were taught, and particularly with Bobby Robson at Ipswich. So yeah, it was really strange. Well, I'd already been booked in the competition, so another yellow card for me would have resulted in me missing the next match. Terry Fenwick had already been booked in the game, having been suspended before, so that would have meant that he was sent off. And obviously Peter Shilton could have got sent off, and then it's a penalty. So we were faced with awful dilemmas, but we should have stopped it at source. And ironically, as Peter Reid said to me when I was with him a few days ago, he said that it was a foul on one of England's players just before Maradona picked the ball up. So having done this publicity about the ball on the day, the referee actually who owns the ball didn't come over with the ball. He couldn't get a visa. So lucky for him, he couldn't get a visa, because I would love to have met him face to face and just say, did you get your eyes fixed after the game? Because it was. I mean, when you see the pictures, the images now, it's a definite handball. But to be fair, I didn't really see it clearly. A lot of the England players didn't see it clearly, and obviously the referee and linesman, who were the most important people, didn't see it at all.
Tell us about Bobby Robson. You worked under him at Ipswich, obviously at England. Just your assessment of a great man.
Well, he was way ahead of his time in many aspects. You think of all the teams that he's managed to build and then rebuild, and particularly with England as well. He was brave when he had to change the system in '86. He changed the system in 1990. He grew into the England role as well. It was a difficult time at that time. A lot of the England players weren't in European action as well. So, it was tough. And the press in those days was very much a newspaper war, a circulation war, and they wanted the big headlines, the worse it could be, the better for them to sell newspapers. So we were at the sort of center of that, and we didn't speak to the press. We felt that we were, it was wrong and everything else, especially the stick the manager got. But he came through that, and he had the dignity to rise above it. And even then, when he was getting absolute pelters, he would have an hour's press conference, and the press officer, as you saw it, he was trying to drag him away, and Bobby would still answer questions because he felt that he had to answer them, and he had to put his point of view over. And it took a while sometimes to do that, but he was a great man. Great, and he, as I say, he grew into the England role after a sort of hesitant start in '82. We didn't make the Euros in '84, but obviously then '86 was great, and '90 was even better. So yeah, he was getting better. We were getting better as a international team. We found a new formation. Just a pity we didn't take it through till to '94 in America. But look, he won trophies wherever he went, abroad especially. He was revered wherever he went. Nobody said or has said, or I've seen say a bad word about him. He was an absolute gentleman and a great, great manager.
Why do you think 1990 is viewed as iconic? What is it? I saw headlines this week that the tournament when football changed. Were you aware of it at the time?
Um, no, not really. As I say, you're in this bubble and you're very much are left to your own devices. So we didn't have any outside influence, no internet, no iPads, and nothing like that. So we were always trying to play catch up where we were. Newspapers would come days old, and that was the only sort of contact we had, apart from the phones. And mobile phones were starting to come in, but they were massive things. They were like bricks, so it was very difficult to get network and all these kind of things as well. So we weren't aware of it. I just think 1990 it did change things. The hooligans were, yes, there was a few incidents and all that kind of thing, but they didn't cause the damage everybody thought they would, and it seemed to sort of drop a little bit after that. Um, but then I think the way that we played and the new system, and we became sort of a continental team rather than just England. That's an international team. It's not England. We weren't in England. We were like a continental team, and we were playing some wonderful football and fluid football within a system that was completely new to us, but also wonderful to play in because it gave us freedom. It gave us freedom for the best players, the Waddles and the Gascoignes and the Platts and all these people to get forward and have confidence. And I think, when you've got that in the team, you've got a right good chance. But I think it just made people smile as well. We've seen 2018 and we've seen 2021. That made people smile. But then football needed it, especially. We needed it as a country because of all the problems that we've had in the 80s, the strikes, the power cuts, and all these kind of things. It sort of made us smile again. And I think, there's a lot of people, honestly, a lot of people, and they just say thank you very much for 1990. It's really touching and really, we feel really honoured and humbled to get that praise so long after the tournament, and obviously with the England team doing pretty well now, it's just nice that people do think of us.
How do you rate England going into Qatar?
Well, I think they've got a good chance. I think saw Harry Kane when he said that, why can't we go and win it? Why be embarrassed to say, yeah, I think we can win it. I honestly think we can win it. I don't think there's that many teams that are really miles ahead or really have a strong case to say, yes, they'll get to the final definitely. I think if Argentina will be difficult opposition. They've had a particularly good year or 2 years. But they're all the European countries, they've got good players. I'm just happy that Norway aren't in it with Haaland because, he could win a World Cup on his own. He could have been a Maradona. I don't think he'll handball it now because of VAR and because there's just too many cameras. But he could be, he could be a world beater. But it's a bit like Georgie Best, wasn't it? When he played for Northern Ireland, he never played in the World Cup, and it's very difficult for Norway as a small country to get through. But what a player he is. But I still think we've got a really, really good chance. And if we do play top teams, France or whoever people are saying in the quarterfinals, then if you're going to win a World Cup, you've got to beat these teams anyway. So I don't see a problem. I think when you get to the knockout stage, it's absolutely brilliant. It's the best part of a World Cup, and it's the most exciting part. And you want to be there, you want to get through it, and you want to support England all the way.
Have you got a picture of the cut against Sweden on your wall anywhere?
No, I don't have that. I don't have pictures. I've got a few pictures in here at the moment, but when I was up in Scotland in '94, I had a few pictures in my bar in my hotel. So that's why I've got some pictures. But I don't have the pictures. People keep writing to me and saying, "Can you send me an autograph picture?" Well, I don't have an autograph picture. I don't particularly want an autograph picture or a picture to autograph. And it's just it's nice. It's very flattering, but look, and my wife sometimes says to me, well, you don't look particularly handsome on these pictures. I said, it's a blooming football match. It's work. It's the job. Do the builders look particularly happy when they're building houses or whatever? No, because it's a job. You get on with it. You pull faces because you're straining with effort. So yeah, it's you don't pose. If you pose for them and all that sort of thing. And what gets me, Rob, now is a lot of the players, particularly defenders, roll their socks over their knees. What is all that about? And they have these undershirts, and they have tattoos and they have piercings and they have all this. Look, do your job. People will be impressed and people will like it because of what you do on the pitch. It's not how you look. You can look the best person in the world and be rubbish. Just make sure that you do your job well and people will be talking about your football career and not your modelling career. So my rant's over now, okay?
Last one for you. Do you wish you were going with England?
I missed the impact of a World Cup and being a part of it. I've done a few since then as a pundit. I think I've done 4 since I finished playing. So that's 7 World Cups I've covered, and I've loved them. Honestly, I've loved them. The best thing about a World Cup from a journalist point of view, as you know, is the fan zones. When you go in those, they're just incredible. As the caipirinhas and all these different drinks from all around the world. It is unbelievable. I think this year, I don't think they've got any fan zones, or if they do, they'll be very limited. So, oh, hang on. That must be Gareth Southgate now. He's
You're getting a call.
You want to come with us?
Get Gareth Southgate on the phone. He's just calling you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, Gareth.
Don't worry.
I've been there, done it before. I haven't got any more.
Not this year, Gareth. Maybe next time. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
You take care as well. Thanks a lot, Terry. Really appreciate. Lovely meeting you. Lovely seeing you.
And you. Nice to see you again. You take care. Bye-bye.
Terry.